Stick around and we'll see if we can talk some sort of sense as we talk about the Roosters here, who finished 7th for the season, on the back of us both tipping them to win the comp this year, Barn. Do you want to have a quick touch on the stats and then we'll see what went wrong?
I actually tipped the Cowboys to win the comp. But
Did you? Okay.
I tipped the Roosters to finish top 2, I think it was. So that didn't work out either. But 13 wins, 11 losses, exactly the same as the Raiders, obviously. Minus 24 for and against. Average of 19 points conceded each game. Scored each game. And 20 conceded every game. 75% completion, which was down near the bottom for the entire competition. I think they were down around 15th. Penalties conceded first. Gave away more penalties than any other team in the competition. Average of 6.5 a game. Ineffective tackles third. Errors second. Not a lot of good reading for Roosters fans in these stats, to be honest. Attacking stats all down below where they should have been. Line break assist 12th. Try assist 14th. They were first in tackles made, so that probably had a lot to do with them dropping the ball all the time and giving away penalties. Exactly. So they did have to have the best goal line defence because they just kept giving the ball back to the opposition. But get that. They had the worst set completion in the entire competition. Time in possession goes exactly with that as well. Last. Line breaks 13th. There was not a lot going on for them. They were third in field goals, which was something. 13th in tries, 15th in points. They could not score a try to start this year. The first couple of games they were going all right, apart from their loss to the Dolphins in the first week. But they got a couple of games away early. But there was a big stage for probably 10 or 12 weeks where they just did not look like they could score a try to save their life. No.
All right, we've salvaged the video. Somehow this will work, thanks to the iPhone. But anyway.
Yeah, so we'll just get back to... basically, they're in the bottom 4 for all attacking stats in the competition. Line break assist, tries scored, points scored, which really is going to kill off your season pretty quickly, realistically. They did an amazing effort from going from where they were to managing to make the 8. I thought they were no chance. Coming into the back, 6 or 7 weeks of this competition, they had to put, 6 or 7 games together to manage to fall into the bottom of this 8. And, they did it fantastically well to get there. There's a couple of individual stats which sort of belie the attacking stats that they put out. Look, Teddy was their top try scorer with 11 tries, which is obviously, that just adds up to everything that they were saying. But, Keary was 10th with try assists with 19, so he was doing a fair job there. Manu made plenty of tackle busts. But yeah, their kick meters were down. Line break assists were okay individually with Cleary with 20, but there was nobody else helping him out with being able to put people away to score tries. It seemed to come down to individual efforts from the likes of Manu and Suwali or Tupu jumping over the top of people to score tries, or a forward barging over.
I think that the story of their season was it took them 3 months to even work out what their game plan was.
100%.
And when Roosters aren't playing well, it's just it's just Teddy boxed in a corner.
There was a lot of
shift, and then Teddy chimes in and goes, "Oh shit, now I'm going to get tackled or busted in a touch," and that's how it worked. When Walker got dropped, there was a bit more clarity because I think they just basically came back and said, "Right, Keary's going to run the show. Let's simplify."
It's going to be running 5'8",
and that's when they started to come good. But they. Really came good the back end this year was when they got all their outside backs back and just made them go to work, got them involved and said, well, we've got, star-started back
to help you forwards
get
out.
in and go and roll your sleeves up and work hard. And I guess it's a story of a lot of teams either do roll their sleeves up and work hard or, like yourselves of the world, don't. And that really changed their fortunes. They had a bit more clarity. Walker came back in and then at the time he was injected back in, had some very nice attacking input, picking his spots well, and Tedesco tapped out a little bit.
And the discipline did pick up quite a bit towards the back end of the year. As I said, they were top. They made the most tackles, but they were only mid-range for missing tackles, so You know, that really helps when you're not missing that many compared to what you're making. Their run meters seemed to pick up towards the back end of the year, but they were 6 for tackle busts, which sort of, you know, meant they were getting through the line, but there was nothing sort of happening at the back after. There was no connection after that to lead to points. So.
I think
But I think that was just they were so bad early that it was a long way to get their stats back up because their attack was pretty good towards the back 6 weeks of
for
the
the
year.
last 6 weeks. I think that coincided with everyone falling in line. The other thing it coincided with, said coincide a lot there, but the other
Lindsay
thing is that
Collins.
they all half this squad or more came off abbreviated preseason.
Yes, yeah,
And
100%.
the more I think about
World
this
Cups.
season, the more I think that this has had a bit to do with a few other teams as well. They had no chance to get any momentum together.
Yep.
And between Chi and you got a new hooker, Tedesco coming back and then who was arrested on top of that. Manu was injured a lot as well. It's hard to get going. And I think they tried to take Cheese out of his... Let's go from that first. But they tried to take Cheese out of his box. They were going to turn him into this 80-minute hooker who's going to be basically going to become Harry Graham.
distribution,
And
yeah.
that's not him. That's not him. And I think the last month when they realised, let's bring back bowling
let
ball
him go.
Cheese, is when they were at their best. And our whole thinking of them, how good he was going to be for him, was going to be that direction because he'd drag the rest of them with him. And we saw that in the last month.
Yeah,
or
getting
5
into the
weeks.
line and then promoting the ball
Yeah.
for the forwards in and around the middle.
And just getting under and burrowing, like having that 20-metre run where he just burrows through 2 defenders and scores. And
100%.
and that drag, I think once they realised, okay, he's not going to, and it's like a lot of these, like next year, I'm very interested what they do with Spencer Leniu, whether he's just going there as a bench forward, whether they're going to try and make him into the next Jared Wirra-Hargreaves. I'm sure he's capable of a good 60 minutes, but is he better off left in his box? Those sort of things, I think once, and obviously Trent Robinson isn't an idiot, once he went back to their strength, that's when they came good.
Yeah, well, you look at a couple of individual things here. Teddy was 4th in kick return meters, so he was doing his job on kick return, obviously. Handling errors, they didn't have anyone inside the top 43. Like, Suwali was the 43rd player. So, there's some discipline there with the way that they hold on to the ball. Just weren't able to do a great deal with it after that. Errors, again, they top 25. There was from every other team before you got to a Rooster. So there's still a lot of discipline in around the way they held the ball. It just probably weren't as creative as you've seen them in previous years. So definitely doesn't help when you drop your halfback for half the season.
No.
But-
The other story of their season was their red zone defence.
Oh, and sorry, I missed Nat Butcher.
No.
Top tackler by the end of the year
He
and
was,
second on
wasn't it?
averages.
He was like 1,000 tackles or something. wasn't
Yeah. And he was good with the ball in his hand too. He was probably their best. Him and Lindsay Collins were easily their 2 best forwards for the entirety of the season.
he? 977 tackles for the year. Their goal line defence was phenomenal in games, like absolutely Aussie in awe of it sometimes, where they're trusting each other, and it statistically is better than Penrith's. They stayed in games when they're happy to defend for 20 minutes at a time, where they had nothing else to offer. But their cover.
I don't know if they were happy to do it.
No, but they rolled their
They
sleeves
got
up and
through
did it. And to the point where I actually would have been so interested to see, I'm not saying I'm not suggesting, but would have loved to have seen what they could have brought to the table against Penrith instead of what Melbourne were going to bring to the... Or Melbourne are always going to get blown away in that prelim final, and I think Roosters, I don't think they would have won, but they would have brought a toughness there that Penrith had to overcome.
Yeah, and if they'd been able to jag a couple of those games earlier in the year, they might have had an easier run in the finals where their defence wasn't as good as it was at the back end of this year. But there was probably 3 out of those last 6 or 7 games they won were just them turning the opposition away that many times. The opposition got stupid and started trying everything
Was it
they
the
possibly
Cowboys
could.
game? Was one
Sharks game as
Sharks
well
game,
that
yeah.
they did to the Sharks in the semi-final. They just continually turn the opposition away, and you get to the point where they start getting desperate. They don't know what they got to do to get through this defensive line, and the attack starts to fall apart. So
Yeah. They, of all the teams, I think you can forgive a little bit this year, and I think they're the biggest improvers next year.
the World Cup did a bit of a number on
World
them.
Cup did, plus injuries. You lose.
They had constant injuries through the year.
Angus Crichton isn't with us.
Shadow of himself. Yeah.
But if they get him right with gets a pre-season, stays healthy. Rugby Union's pulled their offer, so he's going to be at the Roosters
They've got some
next year.
exciting back rowers coming
And I was
through.
going to say, they've unearthed some very, very good ones in front row in Tyrrell May.
We'll just quickly go through what I've got here. Standouts were obviously Tedesco, especially at the back end of the year with Keary when they got their shit together. Collins, Nat Butcher. You got to throw in Manu and Suwali. They were terrific at different times during the year, and they never really sort of wavered too badly. Suwali, slow start, but Manu was always good, battling through injuries.
The quiet games they had were a victim of
the team getting
game
shut
plan
down.
and also but when they actively went looking for work, they were tremendous in the back end of the year.
Daniel Tupu was a positive. He always is. He always adds something to this side. Sia Wong and Terrell May are outstanding prospects
found two
going forward
very, very good
into
ones
next year. You can throw Egan Butcher in there, but I think you said he was moving on, didn't you? Going somewhere
Fletcher
else?
Baker's going to
Fletcher
Brisbane.
Baker. Well, he was one of my question marks, so that's probably not a bad thing. But yeah, Egan Butcher was very good at different times of the year, and young Sandon Smith's probably something that if they work on it. I don't know how they squeeze him into this team, whether he ends up taking Drew Hutchinson's position in that sort of
Who had a good year.
utility role. But he had a fantastic year as
He was
well.
Fantastic.
Yep. And yeah, question marks around how they use Cheese next year and whether they've got the blueprint now. So hopefully he's a positive rather
and I
than a
think
negative.
finding Sandon Smith, that'll be the answer.
Yeah.
He'll become Harry Grant for them.
Crichton's a massive question mark with how he's going to come back into next
he
season.
he was going to rugby.
Yeah.
Rugby, so I assume he's on the mark. I assume if someone rings or Tigers
Fletcher Baker
and offers him 600, he might be up for grabs.
and Corey Allen. I can't see him staying at the Roosters.
And Paulo's
past
going
this
to
season.
Manly. So, yeah, but they'll offload them. And they're getting... So next year, getting Spencer Leniu in, who's going to, offer that, and Dom Young, arguably the best winger in the game. So they're not struggling.
No.
They get another year out of Swiley. They get another year out of Tupou. They get another year out of... Crichton can play off the
keep
bench and
Manu fit.
do his job for a bit. If they get Crichton right, well...
Wong and May.
That's a scary prospect. I more I think of it, it's a little bit bullish on Roosters prospects next year if they get everything right from the start. And I think I'm going to have faith in Trent Robertson and say he's too smart not to. If we can work it out, you'd think he's half a chance. So I think they're top 4 next year. I think they bounce back. And in a world where we're trying to find forward packs, they've got one. Well and truly got one.
Absolutely.
If they're house fire, they can
Got some
win.
exciting young fellas coming through. Tupanua, what ended up happening with him?
He's still there. He was injured again. I think he's just been benched.
He's another one with the question marks around him, whether he comes back into this team or ends up being a bench player or a Reggie at the back end of next year.
Ends up with the
but
Dragons. I reckon ends up
quite
with the Dragons
possibly.
next year. And he's probably fine. Someone like that is who, if you're Shane Flanagan, Roosters have the least
absolutely.
players. That's where you need to look.
And it gives them a target on an edge, which they don't really
or
have
an Angus
in
Crichton.
that side.
If you're Shane Flanagan, you almost go and throw money at Angus
Grab them
Crichton.
both.
So we'll spend 900, maybe $1 million, but you're going to get.
Gives them 2 target players that run a
Exactly.
pretty good line on
And,
an edge.
I think that's how you got to look at it. If you're Flanagan, probably more Flanagan. None of the other teams really have a lot to spend. Bulldogs have done their dough a little bit, but that's what I'd be thinking. Anyway, both definitely worth grabbing.
Yep.
But we'll preview that down the road.